What up, watch peeps? The Seiko SNK always felt like more of a field watch to me despite its Flieger dial and handset. Then there was the SNZG with a traditional field watch dial, but always just a tad too big for me at 42 millimeters. Let's not forget the SUS, a killer little quartz field watch. And of course, Seiko had the military issued 6119. So Seiko has a rich history in field watches, and this latest rendition is no slouch. Let's take a look. I'm Pete, and we are Chillin' with Watches. Wrist check. I am wearing a Yima. That's right, this is actually a Yima from the quartz era. This is the Rally Griff. It is weird and ugly like a spaceship, and I know a lot of you guys are gonna hate it, and that's why I love it. All right, let's dig into what we got here today. This is the Seiko SRPG27, one of the new Seiko 5 field watches. You see the Seiko 5s come in a much more minimalist box setup than like the Pro Specs do. And I don't know about Presage. I've never owned a Presage. From Mimo, you always get your filled out warranty card. Inside, you'll find a new field watch. What a cool release. This is one of my favorites that Seiko has done. Just every tag, extra links, all that good stuff. Now, these come in at 39. I know they list them at 39.4. I measure them at like 39.2, so it is truly closer to 39 than 40. Color-wise, these come in a bunch of colors. There's black, blue, I think there's gray, green, there's a PVD case one, there's creamy loom color ones. They all come in at $275 retail, but they can be had for around 200 bucks. I got mine from Mimo's. I'll put a link in the description. Tell him Pete sent you. As always, he doesn't know who I am, except maybe as a repeat customer. So my first impression on this one was, yeah, that this is the perfect size for me. And it's the perfect companion to the Alpinist. Where the Alpinist is maybe a little fancy, this one is a pure tool watch. The dial is a traditional field watch layout with Arabics and a 24-hour scale. I really like the applied Seiko logo at 12 o'clock. Paired with minimal dial text, you have a printed 5 logo and automatic at 6 o'clock. The numbers are raised. They're not applied though. They are embossed, which means they're stamped into the dial from the backside. That's how Seiko usually does it. The result is awesome though. They stand proud. They have a really cool brush finish. They're not loomed. Only the outer dots, which are also raised, are loomed, and the hands as well. Of course, Seiko, so they will be bright and they'll be long lasting. Perfectly sufficient for a non-diver. Speaking of which, I love this handset. It is very similar to what they have used on previous field watches, but again, with that brush finish they've been using lately, which I think is spectacular. You have a really nice frame around the date window, and all of it is sitting under a single domed, very slightly domed, Hardlex crystal. These come in a couple different case finishes. There are some bead blasted variants. This one is a brushed and polished combo with basically brushed on the top, polished on the case sides. The case is great though. They not only got the overall size right, but the proportions are spot on too. I mean, the bezel width to the dial just looks spectacular. The crown's a good size. Sometimes Seiko 5s can have wimpy crowns, but not here. You got a really nice size, easy to use crown. And I dig that it's push-pull. 100 meters is all I need on a field watch like this, and no threads to fuss with is just fine by me. In profile, it is still very well proportioned. Nice size mid-case to bezel ratio. Minimal amount of case back making up the overall thickness. As you can see, it does have drilled lugs. These also do have a display case back. Personally, I can take it or leave it, but I know some people see that as a plus. Now the bracelet is your standard Seiko affair. Hollow end links. Tapers from 20 down to 18 at the pressed clasp. Nothing spectacular, but absolutely functional and usable. I have no desire to replace it. So what do you say we throw this guy on the Timegrapher and see how it's running? seems to have settled in around +6, +7 seconds a day with 260 amplitude. Perfectly normal for a Seiko, 268. 0.3 beat error. That's low enough that I'm not too worried about it. All in all, I'm perfectly pleased with the way this guy is running. All right, going over the dimensions, we are looking at a 39.2 millimeter case. That is as I measured it. 47.6 millimeters on the lug to lug and 13.3 millimeters thick. That is including this single domed hardlex crystal. Comes in at 20 millimeters for the lug width. Going over some of the other specs, as I just mentioned, we have that single domed hardlex crystal. You can see the distortion there. Very nice. Uses Seiko LumiBrite, always bright and long lasting. This one is running the 4R36 movement and has 100 meters of water resistance. On the bracelet size for my 7¼ inch wrist, it comes in at 133 grams. Let's see how it wears on wrist. And here it is on my, again, 7¼ inch wrist. And I think this is just the perfect size for this type of watch for my wrist. Not too thick. Not a thin watch, but not too thick. But I love the overall diameter of the case. I think it wears really well. It's very comfortable. Let's take a look at it side by side some other watches. Let's go smallest to largest here. Here you see it alongside a 36 millimeter Explorer style watch. And obviously, it is a few millimeters larger than that. I think both of these wear pretty true to their size. Next up, I have the Alpinist, which is also about a 39 millimeter watch. And I think these are pretty comparable wears. The 5 looks like it has a larger dial opening and a thinner bezel as compared to the dial. Thickness about the same. Next I have the Tudor Ranger at 41. So again, this is another one with a large dial opening and about the same bezel to dial ratio. And you can see they don't look drastically different despite a 2 millimeter difference between the Seiko 5 and the Ranger. Lastly, I have the SKX here coming in at about 42.5 millimeters as a reference. The SKX is a larger watch. I think the overall case proportions show that here, but it is a good reference point. All right, lastly, let's take a look at the LumiBrite.
Keep the Loom.
And there you go. I am not in full dark here, but Seiko LumiBrite never disappoints. You can see how bright it is there on the hands. Those dots around the perimeter are perfectly sufficient for telling time on a field watch in the dark. As always, Seiko has great lume. So there you go, the new Seiko 5 field watch. This one stayed on wrist for quite a while when it first arrived. It's very comfortable, very versatile. It's a real all-arounder with a worry-free price tag. I'm going to go ahead and make the call that this one's a keeper as well. That's 2 in a row from Seiko, so keep them coming. All right, before I let you guys go, sneaker check. I'm just wearing my burgundy chucks because matchy-matchy, and that's it. I'm out. All right, if it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.